Why such rejection? May 9th. Firstly, very painfully and very attentively. The world press resonated with the story of Viktoriya Roschina, a 27-year-old Ukrainian journalist. But usually such stories, since the war in Ukraine consists entirely of Russian war crimes, only of atrocities, only of violence, looting, and genocide. Well, such stories pass by. But the youth and, let's say, the terrifying romanticism of this story probably caught many. And it also reached Russia, that pretending to be a civilized country any further is simply not the slightest bit of sense. Years of war, genocide, internal lawlessness in Russia, they tore off the last remnants of the mask, cobbled together from culture, cobbled together from imitating the West. And in all its details, in general, the horrifying face of the cannibal country was revealed, which the world is yet to examine and be horrified by. And it is precisely this horror, according to the official version, that is now supposed to become the main vector of Russian state policy. And this was officially proclaimed not by just anyone, but by the deputy chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation, Mr. Medvedev. He stated that now Russia will achieve everything it wants only through fear. To speak literally, fear still works, the rest is zero. This was said by Medvedev. Medvedev is confident that Russia has already gained strength and is capable of instilling this fear in everyone, and that this fear will now be the most important and most successful tool of Russian politics. And the first successes in instilling terror in all enemies, it must be said, have already been achieved with this story of Viktoriya Roschina. The Russian Federation, with a smirk, loudly and demonstratively returned the body of the Ukrainian journalist who died from torture in Russian captivity. Undoubtedly, this is a calculated act of intimidation, because the reaction to returning the body in such a state was very easy to predict. The forensic examination established that Roschina, a 27-year-old journalist who was investigating war crimes, the Russian army, died as a result of a series of brutal and continuous tortures, both with electricity and various special means. Roschina's eyes were gouged out. There is still no clarity. I don't know to such a detail this craft, and I don't know if forensic experts will be able to, given the current state of the body. It is forgiven to determine whether this was an antemortem gouging of the eyes or a mockery. And the journalist's corpse had the brain removed and the larynx torn out. Here is Medvedev, who speaks of horror, it is unknown. Whether he participated in the creation of this message about Ukraine and Europe, or if he simply oversaw it, this process. And Roschina, yes, she disappeared. She was captured. That is, she was stolen, kidnapped. She couldn't have been captured. She had all the journalistic credentials. She is absolutely a civilian. In the year 23 and in the year 25, a package was delivered to the Ukrainian side in which they found a heavily frozen body of a woman with the tag 7390, Roschina, VV. And this morning, new details have already appeared. On my Telegram channel, there are new details and new photos of the woman pardoned, kidnapped by Russians, and killed by torture in a Russian prison. And as investigators have already found out, who also couldn't ignore this story, the cycle of torture and abuse against her was most likely carried out in the prison of the city of Taganrog, in which there exists a special torture conveyor. Moreover, no one paid attention either, but she died from very significant injuries. Intended as a message to journalists. Her eyes were gouged out, her brain removed, her larynx torn out. And in this set of brain, eyes, larynx, it's hard not to notice a subtle hint that Russia's crimes should not be seen. One should not think about them, let alone speak about them. Not to see the didactic in such a set of injuries. The body that was handed over to Ukraine is quite difficult.